What's up, everybody? I'm the Unspecialist, and this is the Unspecial edition. On this first episode, we'll be talking about a very popular, or rather infamous recent incident where lots of people lost money, maybe lost their wits, and become extremely frustrated with the banking system in Guyana. Over the last few weeks, many people in Guyana have been victims of financial fraud. Naturally, there's lots of frustration and some panic, especially because more than one bank has been affected. Many people are online claiming that the banks stole their money, and I'm here to tell you that that's not exactly the case. Yes, the banks have a role to play, but they aren't exactly the culprits here. Locally, the two affected banks appear to be Citizens Bank and Republic Bank. So, if you're a customer of either bank, you'll want to watch this video to the end, especially if you've had your card used fraudulently. If you want to know how to safeguard yourself from scammers and fraudsters, then this video is for you too. The banks have not been open about what's occurred. There's been no notice or announcement from the central bank. The media has also been silent. Their lack of information is doing you, the customer, a disservice. Hence, I'll share my experience, discuss what happened to both banks, and share information that will help protect you and your loved ones. Share this video to help as many people as you can, and don't hesitate to share your stories in the comments. My family and friends have cried out about their difficulties with Republic Bank for years. Somehow, all this time I've managed to remain unaffected. That was until a couple weeks ago. On June 19th, 2023, I received an email from Republic Bank notifying me that my debit card was used for a point-of-sale purchase at Thor, Sweden in Stockholm. It was a routine bank notification. However, there was one problem. My card was in my wallet on my person in Georgetown, Guyana. This was obviously a fraudulent transaction. Yes, point-of-sale purchases can happen online, and the transaction was $0. So I decided to wait and observe how the card was used before calling the bank. Fraudsters will typically test your card to see if it works before going on a spending spree. Call me reckless, but I wanted to see what they'd do next. I wasn't worried because I knew how much or how little money was in my account. In the next 2 hours, I received emails about my card being used for 2 more online transactions, both for $0, to unnamed Google services. Call me reckless again, but I let it sit. This was the second strike. One more and I was going to call the bank and cancel my card. Sure enough, the third strike came in the next hour. My card was used for a $1 Netflix purchase. I called the bank immediately to cancel my card. The rep on the phone was courteous and told me the next steps without being asked. Like any other customer, I was concerned about the fraudulent use of the card. Did I use my card on some shady site? Did I lose my card? Was I a victim of phishing? The answer to all 3 questions was no. I hadn't used my card in weeks, all my personal systems were secure, and I'd never shopped anywhere shady. So, I did what any intelligent person would do in this situation. Check on Facebook to see if anybody else had the problem. All I did was search Republic Bank on Facebook. I got my answer within seconds. Several persons had posted about the same issue. I called my friends and family. And sure enough, within a couple of hours, I confirmed over 20 other victims. Each one lost different amounts of money due to fraudulent use of their cards. Over the next week, that number ballooned to over hundreds of confirmed victims. I was 100% certain that there were hundreds more that I didn't know of. I'd have no cause for concern if only a few victims existed. However, at this magnitude, there was little chance that this was the result of customer negligence. Hence, my first conclusion was a data breach. Here's why. To use your card with any bank, you need the card number, cardholder's name, expiry date, and security code, information that's available on the card itself. That's why your card can be used if physically stolen or photographed. However, many victims had never used their cards online, nor had they lost their cards. Further, until recently, to use your Republic Bank card online, you had to call the bank to verify your card number, full name, address, and date of birth. All this just to open the card for online purchase. So it's unlikely, if not impossible, for the cards to be used without the fraudster calling the bank with that info. This all but confirms that Republic Bank Guyana has likely suffered a massive data breach that exposed the identities and deposits of hundreds, if not thousands, of customers to unknown scammers and fraudsters. The same is most likely true for Citizens Bank Guyana. There is another possibility, which may be the best case scenario. The data breach may have occurred with Visa and not the bank, which could mean that only the card data was stolen. However, that doesn't answer how supposedly locked cards, like mine, were used to make online purchases. How could fraudsters bypass the card's security measures if the additional data wasn't stolen? You need to call up to use the card, but somehow the fraudsters don't? Please, make it make sense. All signs point to the bank's data being compromised and released on the dark web. This is why I believe you, the customer, have a right to know what data was compromised. Nevertheless, even if it was just your card info is enough for hackers and fraudsters to begin building a profile of you to potentially target you and steal your identity. So, if you've received a notice or emails from the bank about fraudulent activity, cancel your card now and get a replacement. Unfortunately, I have some bad news for you. Replacing your card is the least of your problems. In the worst case scenario, affected users have potentially had their identities stolen. At the very least, their names, home addresses, and dates of birth are compromised. Despite being unrelated to your card info, I doubt this data would be siloed from the bank's customer files. To reiterate, if you, the customer, need to verify your name, home address, and date of birth to use your card, it's logical to assume that the fraudsters have that information too. If they don't, the bank should release a statement to inform you of what's safe and what data has been compromised. To be fair, Republic Bank did release a statement over 2 weeks after customers began reporting issues online. So let's take some time to dissect what, in my opinion, was a very weak statement. The first thing that stood out to me is that the bank notice suggests but does not confirm the problem with the Visa One card. We know that the bank did not take immediate action because this notice comes more than 14 days after incidents were first reported online. The bank's action to block related sites is quite feeble in my opinion because the hackers will notice that these sites are blocked and quickly move to use new ones. Blocking the sites does not change the fact that the data is in the hands of fraudsters and does not prevent them from using the compromised card. For example, let's say fraudulent activity is detected on Netflix. The bank blocks that site. You call the bank to cancel your card. While you're on hold, waiting to talk to a rep, the fraudster realizes Netflix is blocked and tries another site. While you're still on hold, $50 are spent. Worse yet, let's say you have no knowledge of your card being compromised and you call the bank to open your card to use Netflix. The fraudster then goes on a spending spree before you can spend the money yourself. And by unblocking Netflix, you open the floodgates. This is a classic catch-22, a masterclass in what not to do when it comes to consumer protection. But if you're still confused, let's use some simple logic to summarize the situation. If I'm the bank, it's safe to assume that all cards in circulation before the breach are compromised and should be cancelled. Blocking sites only buys time. If the database is still compromised, newly issued cards are also compromised. If the newly issued cards are safe, then blocking popular sites like the ones many of the fraudsters used is a massive inconvenience to the customers who took time off, went into the bank, and waited all day just for a chance to resolve this issue and file dispute. Something is clearly rotten at RBL, and they need to better inform and protect their customers. Because even if this is a different matter, this is not the first time many customers have lost money. I'm not sure how Citizens Bank resolved this matter, so if you know, please share the story with me in the comments. As I said before, the central bank, the commercial banks, and the media have kept quiet about this. All the while, your data and money have been jeopardized. The can of worms is open. As you're watching this video right now, your personal information is being traded on the dark web. You will inevitably become the target of phishing attacks, scammers, and fraudsters online, and possibly cyber attacks to steal other personal data. So even if your card has been replaced, this is more serious than you think. We need to discuss cybersecurity and banking in Guyana and the Caribbean. But before that, We need to tell you how to safeguard yourself in cases like this. Stay tuned for part 2, where you'll find out the most practical methods to protect yourself even after your data has been stolen. Why do you think the banks and the media have been quiet? Do you think customers deserve to know what happened and precisely what data has been stolen? Share your thoughts with me in the comments. Like the page and turn on all notifications so you don't miss the second part of this video. Share it to help as many people as you can. This is the Unspecialist saying, in hackers' eyes, banks store something far more important than just your money. They also store your data.